Suman John, who has been dedicated to the field of disability since 2001. She began as a trustee with Diya Foundation, focusing on career centered education for individuals with intellectual challenges. In 2013, she founded Diya Innovations, a social enterprise that creates sustainable livelihoods and fosters social inclusion for individuals with intellectual challenges. Prior to her work in the social sector, Ms. Simmons spent 8 years as a market researcher with Gallup India and Market Pro. She holds an MBA, a diploma in special education, and an executive program in social entrepreneurship from the University of Pennsylvania. Let's welcome Ms. Suman.
So it was the summer of 22. My husband and I, we walked 800 kilometers in Spain with 6 kg backpacks on our backs. So we started at the French foothills of the Pyrenees Mountains in a tiny town called Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. And we climbed the mountains in extremely windy weather conditions. We entered the beautiful country of Spain and then walked west for the next 45 days. The 800-kilometer walking path wound through the vineyards of the Basque country, the great Spanish plateau called the Meseta, wheat and sunflower fields, olive plantations, and finally into the mountains of Galicia to reach the town of Santiago de Compostela, our final destination. Now this walk is called the Camino de Santiago, and it's a 1,000-year-old walk. Paths from all over Europe lead to Compostela, and millions walk this path, young, old, all genders, able-bodied, disabled. I remember with great fondness the elderly gentleman from Tasmania with visual dementia who walked alongside his young son. There was the young man with Down syndrome. There was a lady with a dog. There was a family with their parrot. 2 partners from Accenture on their cycles. An old couple in their 80s who were cycling from Slovenia, and they thought that this might be their last cycling trip together. There was a young Sartar. There was a girl from Hong Kong. An Indian-Canadian couple who had traveled to 70 countries before walking the Camino. Young, there were babies, there were teenagers, there were middle-aged people, there were old folk, there were people in wheelchairs, people on cycles. And we were all headed to the same destination. We were all headed to Santiago. We were all strangers of all different hues, backgrounds, abilities, political inclinations, income brackets, atheists, believers, but we were kindred spirits. We were this little community, and we cheered each other on every opportunity. And there was a sincere sense of making sure that everyone reaches their destination. Now, our practice on the walk was to wish everybody you came across. So you'd look into the eyes of every person you met, and you'd say, Buon Camino, which means a good walk, wish you a good walk. And this was always said with a smile and with heartfelt good wishes. Now, each day was a perfect day. You'd wake up in the morning before the sun rises. You'd set out with the sun rising behind you. You'd pass snails and butterflies on the path. There would be the sound of your footsteps, the crunch of leaves, the breeze, the changing scenery. You'd wish everyone you passed. You'd stop to eat when your body needed nourishing. You'd reach your destination, wash your clothes, check on family back home, talk to the other pilgrims who'd reached that particular village or town that you were at. You'd receive words of encouragement, you'd offer words of encouragement, you'd celebrate, you'd go to sleep. So there was this cadence, this was the cadence of the walk. And this rhythm was hypnotic. Every day was different, but the rhythm was the same. The rhythm kind of made me feel that all was good. And Even the problems that seemed unsurmountable were actually surmountable, whether it was the muscle aches or the swollen knee or the COVID. And with everyone's help, anything was surmountable. We had summer wildfires even raging behind us, and the extreme temperatures were sharper than the previous years. Climate change was visible, but the little Camino world was a microcosm of the real world, and for 45 days we lived in this world. To me, it seemed pure, it was real, there was a sense of true community. Everyone was included, everyone was encouraged to reach their destination for the day as well as to reach Santiago. And then we came back into the squid game-ish kind of world that we all live in. Back to the reality of a world where societal constructs like money, perfection, materialism, and winning shape our thoughts and our actions, where a large portion of our population go unseen and unheard and are left behind. And I'm talking about people with disability. So it's a different world from the world that you all are in. It's a world that I've been in for the last 25 years. It's a world I've decided that I would work with. I want you all to close your eyes for a second. Don't fall asleep, just close your eyes and think about the last time you met a person with a hearing impairment or a sight impairment, a physical disability or an intellectual disability. Did you make eye contact with him? Or did you start a conversation with her? Did you find out what he likes doing or what music she enjoys? You can open your eyes now. In my experience, it's a very, very small percentage of us who might have done that. The vast majority of us just do the same thing. We ignore. Do you know that 1 in 6 people in the world have a disability, and the proportion is even higher in a developing country like ours? 9 out of 10 times, the reason we don't reach out is because we don't know how to engage with a person with disability. We then do the easiest thing, which is not see. Now close your eyes again and for a moment, think of what it feels like not to be seen. What does it feel like to be ignored? It hurts, right? It makes you feel smaller about yourself. It hurts our self-esteem. It hurts our pride. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes equipping you with some tools so that you never have to do that again. The first suggestion would be to see the person. Let me start with an incident that happened last weekend. There were these 2 sisters, Nina and Amla, and they were at a family event. Now, Nina was born with intellectual disability, and Amla, her older sister, works with a big firm. They're greeted by a family friend at the event. Now, looking at Amla, he says, "Hi, good to see you." With a nod in Nina's direction, he asks Amla, "How is she?" Nina smiles, and you could see that she's a little sad. She had just become an aunt, and her heart was full, and she had so much to say. She wanted to answer that question, if only she'd been asked. If you haven't spent time with someone with disability, it might be a very confronting experience to start a conversation. If you find yourself struggling with any interaction, try and put yourself in their shoes. How would you want to be treated? One thing that's important to remember is that we are all the same. We all have our individual identity. We all feel the same emotions. We all have the same interests and hobbies. We all experience romantic relationships. We all have goals, dreams, and desires. You don't need to change anything about your personal behavior when interacting with someone with disability. Instead, speak at your usual pace, volume, and tone, unless there's a need to speak louder. Use person-first language. And relax, just be yourself. So, say you meet someone with sight impairment. Here's what you could do: you could reach out, say hello, hi, my name is Suman, and I'm from Diya Innovations, and I'm going to give you my hand to shake. The important thing is seeing the person and reaching out. There are some pointers here as well. Avoid asking personal questions about someone's disability. If they want to share their story, they will. Be polite while offering assistance. Don't insist on offering assistance. Be prepared for your offer to be refused. If they do want your assistance, then ask for specific instructions. Shake hands with people, even if the person has limited use or wears an artificial limb. A left handshake is acceptable. Now, if the person cannot shake hands, acknowledge them with a smile and a spoken greeting. When planning a meeting or an event like this, think about specific accommodations that a person with disability might need. If a barrier cannot be removed, then let the person know ahead of time. Don't patronize or talk down to a person with disability. When conversing with someone in a wheelchair, try and find a chair to sit on so that you are at eye level with the person that you are talking to. Don't hover over the person. Number two, learn about the person. There will come a time when you might be unsure how to interact or even help someone living with a disability. Maybe it's your grandmom who's slowly losing her sight or needs a wheelchair to get around. Rather than making preconceived judgments or assumptions on what he or she wants or needs, ask them what they want. Take the time to discover more about the person. Ask questions. What makes you smile? What did you do before you had the spinal cord injury? What makes your day happier? You'll be surprised to discover that when you take the time to ask these questions, you're going to get insights into their personality, and you're going to find that it's going to be easier to get through the day, or spend time in a fun and interactive way the rest of the day. Because everyone, believe me, everyone has interesting lives. Number three, listen to the person. We hear it time and time again that listening and letting anyone use their own voice is crucial to ensure that they are feeling empowered and confident within themselves. When listening to a person with disability, practice active listening skills. What does that mean? Look directly at them in the eye. Show them that you are listening through non-verbal reactions like nodding. Defer any judgment you might have. Respond when it is appropriate. Communication is a two-way street. Be patient and give the person the time to express their emotions, needs, desires, dreams. And when the opportunity comes for you to hold a conversation, then try simple techniques like encouraging them to elaborate, ask some questions, ask for clarification if required. It's also sometimes nice to accept that we are all vulnerable. Some things that you could avoid doing would be saying things like, "What happened to you? I'm so sorry for you. Can I pray for you? You're so inspirational. Let me do that for you." "Oh, you don't look disabled. I know you so well that I don't see you as disabled. Don't get a speeding ticket on that thing." It may sound funny to you, but it isn't funny to somebody on a wheelchair. Promote independence. Whether a decision is large or small, it is our responsibility to give every individual the right to make his or her own decisions about their lives. So it's as simple as what to wear, what to eat, what to drink, what to do during the day, who to spend time with, this family member or that, this friend or that friend, how to spend your leisure time, when to shower, when to wake up, when to go to bed, where to live. A lot of us who have children with disability just want to take those decisions. We don't want to let them take these decisions. And that's something that I would urge all of you to change. Also, things like consenting on a medical treatment or a dental procedure, what healthcare to receive, how finances are managed, legal matters, whether a person should marry or not. So, some of these decisions are more difficult than others, but it's important to be constructive in conversations with people with disabilities. So help them weigh these options, help them consider the risks, consider the benefits, and then if you need an expert to step in on a particular topic, get an expert, and then help the person take a decision. I want to introduce you to Suresh. He works with me at my social enterprise, Diya Innovations, and he's been with us for the past 11 years. Now, he was born with cerebral palsy in a little village in Tamil Nadu. Cerebral palsy meant that the muscles in his face, his arms, and legs were severely affected, so much so that he wasn't able to stand or walk or use his arms steadily. He narrated an incident to me the other day. This happened when he was 8 years old, and he was unable to, talk about it without shedding a tear because he recalled a time when he was buried upright in a pit in the ground by the village folk with only his head sticking out. The attempt was to try and straighten out his limbs. Now he had to stay in that pit without moving for almost, I think it was 7 or 8 hours, and it was frightening for him. He had dogs coming and sniffing near his face, and he felt imprisoned in the ground. Now, fortunately for him, his family decided to move to Bangalore when he was about 10 years old. And he got rehabilitation and therapy and some amount of schooling. And he joined us at our social enterprise at the age of 17. And he learned a lot of new skills. He honed these skills, he got better at it, he moved up to a supervisory level. To date, he's run 3 marathons, all by sheer determination and self will and just believing in himself. Realizing that he has abilities helped him to grow as a person, and it gave him confidence. Today, he earns a salary. He's been earning a salary for the last 10 years. Today, with his salary, he's able to look after his parents, his sister. He recalled the other day buying crackers for Diwali, for sending a cracker box to his sister's children. He bought a small piece of land out in the outskirts of Bangalore. He built a house. He feels confident enough to move from our sheltered workspace to go and search for weekend jobs with a maestri or at a construction site. He washes cars on weekdays, and with the supplemented income, he's able to take care of a lot of things. He takes care of his family. He also has enough money to go for movies. He's a huge Vijay fan, so he never misses. It's always first day, first show for him. And he enjoys traveling. My fifth point to you, and this is the last point, and this is promote inclusion. Employ people with disability, buy products from social enterprises, and try and see how you can include them in everything that you do. Now, this is a plug for the kind of work that I do. So I run a social enterprise called Diya Innovations, and we're a gifting company. And we make a myriad of handmade products with our inclusive team of artisans. Now, the goal of the work that we do is to create livelihoods for people with intellectual disability. And over the years, we've worked with over 400 companies for their gifting needs and created over 50,000 man-days of work for people with disabilities. IIIT Bangalore is also one of our esteemed clients. Now, this Christmas, something very magical happened. ITC Grand Chola in Chennai and an accomplished artist, Rahul Saxena, made it possible for our work to be the centerpiece of the ITC Chola in the form of the Athangudi Christmas tree that stood in the central lobby of the Grand Hotel. I'm going to show you a video now of our team when they went to visit They went to see the tree in all its splendor in ITC Grand Chola. So our team was seen. So what did they do? They were responsible for making every 9 by 9 square foot, square inch tile that was screen printed at our studio in Bangalore. Our team was seen, our team was appreciated for their contribution, and most importantly, our team was included in the grand scheme of things at the hotel. This meant the world for them, and you can see it in their smiles. So, the perfect little world that I described in the beginning, the little world that I experienced in the Camino, could be possible in the larger realm. It only requires you and me and everyone else to add the cadence of inclusion to our routines. So, the next time you meet a person with a disability, reach out to them, look them in the eye, greet them, and wish them a bon camino wholeheartedly. Wish them a happy journey. Thank you.
We'll open the floor now for questions, but due to time constraints, we'll be taking only one question. So all those who want to ask a question can raise your hand, and we'll ask the volunteer to get a mic.
I'm Aryan, and thank you for the inspiring talk that you gave today. I wanted to ask you a question that what challenges did you face while creating an inclusive workspace at your company, and how did you overcome them?
What challenges do I face while creating an inclusive work environment? So it's easy because, see, I work my world is the world of disability, and being a good listener, making sure that people are comfortable, people are seen, people are heard, all these little tips that I gave you, these are things that are part of our everyday routines, and that's why it's easy to create a place that is comfortable for everybody to be at. How would you do this at a larger scale? I think do exactly this. Make sure that everyone does this. Once you see people, once you learn more about them, once you are willing to listen to them, you really don't have challenges. Things happen easily. But if I were to very specifically get into the nitty-gritties of it, the challenges are keeping things like this funded, finding the right amount of funding to take care of an NGO. That's what largely is the challenge that you face when you run organizations like this. 11 years ago, when we set up the private limited company, which is an inclusive company and which is a social enterprise, the challenge was different. We were going to find the funding ourselves by the sale of the products that we make. So now the challenge turned to how do I make sure that social procurement is on everybody's agenda. So the next time, say you have a conference, you choose to buy from a social enterprise rather than go to a gift seller who is probably selling you things from China. So how do I make sure that social procurement is something top of mind for everybody? So those are the two challenges. While running an NGO, you have the challenge of funding, and while you run a company, you run the challenge of how do I survive, which is similar to any business anywhere in the world. So, okay, so can I just thank IIIT-Bangalore for this platform to talk about inclusion, because I think while as an institute you definitely do support the community in a very large way. I know there are a lot of programs that IIIT does, I want to very specifically thank you for allowing me these few minutes to talk about how you, as students, can add the cadence of inclusion to your routines, because you're just going to be a better person, and you're going to make the world a better place with doing that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I'd like to invite Ansh to felicitate Ms. Suman John with a token of gratitude.